She said you wouldn't have a pie shop until she realized all this morning you could get it.
Yeah, right.
Pies are a lot of work.
Oh no, Barbara. I think I'm making a
Good pies are a lot of work.
lot of 10%. No.
Well, see, now that I know it's on that side,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. Her husband, she's doing PE up there. They both are studying together. He's got you.
Okay.
I know, it's like, what's the deal tonight?
Well,
Yeah, I remember those days.
I think so. But all you see is amendments attempted, and so there is, yeah, I think he's concerned about
Margie and I just
perhaps speculation.
last game.
Judge, I'm trying to take this $7 million and just buy everybody a motor scooter. And she said it would pollute the air. And I'm trying to explain to her we have electric motor scooters. They will get you to Roger on one charge.
Yeah, they have a lot of It's almost 5.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to call this meeting to order. First, we're going to have is the prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance. And that will be taken care of with Mr. Rex Bailey. Rex.
Stand. Let's pray. Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for this opportunity to come in this courthouse and make decisions for Washington County citizens. Father, we just ask that you grant wisdom and everything said and done, glorify you. In Jesus' name we ask it. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Karen, would you call the roll, please?
Margie Alsbrook.
Here.
Rex Bailey.
Present.
Danny Clark.
Here.
Rick Cochran.
Here.
Lance Dean.
Here.
John Furman.
Here.
Barbara Fitzpatrick.
Here.
Ann Harbison.
Here.
Tom Lundstrom.
Here.
Lisa Madison.
Here.
Joe Patterson.
Here. Here.
Mary Ann Sear.
Here. Before we go any further, first of all, I would like to thank the people that have taken the time to come tonight. I do appreciate the input that you're going to have for our meeting. We love to see our crowds here, and we thank you for getting out. Now, I'm going to ask the courts to please sit up in your seats and speak into the mic so these folks can hear what we have to say. We need to have adoption of the agenda.
Move to adopt.
No, Judge. Wait, back up, please.
Yep.
I need to add 6.1 and 6.2 under finance, please. Say second.
Second.
So we have a motion to amend the
agenda, yes.
Amend the agenda and add 6.1 and 6.2, please.
So I have a motion, I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Same sign?
Anyway, now,
Thank you. Thank you, Candy.
now I move that we adopt the amended agenda.
Second.
Have a motion to adopt the agenda?
Second.
Second. Have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Same sign? The agenda's adopted. Next thing is we're going to have the approval of the minutes.
Move approval of the minutes.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the minutes. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Same sign? Thank you. Next thing we're going to have, Ms. Clark, is our finance report.
Thank you, Judge. George, 6.1, please.
Okay. This is an emergency ordinance directing the county treasurer to distribute funds received pursuant to Act 799 of 2003, currently being held in the Game and Fish Commission Fund. Whereas under ACA 15-41-209, fine monies deposited as special revenues in the Game Protection Fund may be expended in the form of grants for established school education programs. And whereas pursuant to ACA 15-41-209, the Department of Education has received fine monies from the Game Protection Fund and has dispersed the sum of $10,493.12 to the Washington County Treasurer for 2011. And whereas the school districts of Fayetteville, Farmington, Elkins, Greenland, Springdale, and West Fork have applied for said funds, now therefore be it ordained by the Quorum Court of Washington County, Arkansas, Article 1. The county treasurer is hereby directed to distribute said funds to the following school districts in Washington County to be used exclusively for the purposes set out herein. Farmington, Randall G. Lynch Middle School, $1,000. Fayetteville, Butterfield Trail Elementary, $1,500. McNair Elementary, $500. Washington County Juvenile Detention Center, $1,500 for a total of $3,500. Greenland High School East, $368.12. Springdale Hunt Elementary School, $1,300. Parson Hills Elementary Schools, $1,200. Parson Hills Elementary Schools, $450. Sonora Elementary School, $1,675. Southwest Junior High School, $1,000 for a total of $5,625 for a grand total of funds to be distributed of $10,493.12. Article 2, Emergency Clause, is hereby found to determine that an emergency exists affecting the life, health, and safety and property of the citizens of Washington County, and that the above funds are needed immediately, and this ordinance should be in full force and effect immediately upon passage. That means it requires 2/3 vote.
Thank you, George. This year there was over $36,000 in requests for funds. We only had 10,400 or so. So if anybody would like to help these schools and fund some of the programs that weren't funded, please let Wayne know. I move we pass 6.1.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Public comments. Karen, would you call the roll, please?
Sandy Clark,
Yes.
Rick Hopper,
Yes.
Lance Seed,
Yes.
John Furman,
Yes.
Barbara Fitzpatrick,
Yes.
Ann Harbison,
Yes.
Tom Livingston,
Yes.
Eva Madison,
Yes.
Joe Patterson,
Yes.
Butch Vaughn,
Yes.
Marion Spears,
Yes.
Marty Alsbrook,
Yes.
Rex Bailey.
Yes, ma'am.
This ordinance is adopted.
Thank you, George. 6.2.
Okay. A resolution authorizing the submittal of a grant application to the Arkansas Department of Emergency Management. Whereas it is the desire of the county judge and the county's Department of Emergency Management Office to submit an application for fiscal year 2009 secondary Homeland Security grant from the Arkansas Department of Emergency Management. And whereas the grant will be used to replace existing repeaters on the county's radio system. And whereas the amount of said grant will be approximately $50,000 with no match required by the county. Now therefore be resolved by the Quorum Court of the County of Washington, State of Arkansas, Article 1. It hereby authorizes and approves the submission of a grant application as stated above.
Thank you, George. I move we pass 6.2.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Public comment? Karen, would you call the roll?
Sandy Clark,
Yes.
Rick Hopper,
Yes.
Lance Seed,
Yes.
John Furman,
Yes.
Barbara Fitzpatrick,
Yes.
Ann Harbison,
Yes.
Tom Livingston,
Yes.
Eva Madison,
Yes.
Joe Patterson,
Yes.
Butch Vaughn,
Yes.
Marion Spears,
Yes.
Marty Alsbrook,
Yes.
Rex Bailey.
Yes, ma'am.
This ordinance is adopted.
Thank you, Judge. 6.3, George.
It's an ordinance recognizing and appropriating additional revenue of $13,060 in the general fund for the JDC JABG 2011 budget for 2012. Article 1, there is hereby recognized additional revenue of $13,060 in the other federal grants revenue line item of the general fund for 2012. Article 2, there is hereby appropriated the amount of $13,060 from the general fund to the following line items of the JDC JABG 2011 budget for 2012. JDC JABG 2011. General supplies, $3,707. Small equipment, $1,025. Other professional services, $4,500. Meals and lodging, $3,828. For a total appropriation of $13,060.
Thank you, George. I move we pass 6.3.
Second. Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Carrie, would you call the roll?
Randy Clark,
Yes.
Rick Hoffman,
Yes.
Lane Keith,
Yes.
John Furman,
Yes.
Barbara Fitzpatrick,
Yes.
Ann Harvison,
Yes.
Tom Lundstrom,
Yes.
Eva Madison,
Yes.
Joe Patterson,
Yes.
Butch Vaughn,
Yes.
Marion Spears,
Yes.
Margie Ellsworth,
Yes.
Rex Baker.
Yes, ma'am.
This ordinance is adopted.
Thank you. 6.4, George.
It's an ordinance transferring monies in the amount of $77,600 within the buildings and ground budget for 2012. Article 1, the parts and repairs line item of the buildings and ground budget in the general fund is hereby reduced by $77,600 for 2012. Article 2, there's hereby appropriated the amount of $77,600 from the general fund to the buildings line item of the buildings and ground budget for 2012.
Thank you, George. I move we pass 6.4.
Second.
Motion and a second. Carrie, would you call the roll?
Randy Clark,
Yes.
Rick Hoffman,
Yes.
Lane Keith,
Yes.
John Furman,
Yes.
Barbara Fitzpatrick,
Yes.
Ann Harvison,
Yes.
Tom Lundstrom,
Yes.
Eva Madison,
Yes.
Joe Patterson,
Yes.
Butch Vaughn,
Yes.
Marion Spears,
Yes.
Margie Ellsworth,
Yes.
Rex Baker.
Yes, ma'am.
Ordinance is adopted.
Thank you. 6.5, George.
An ordinance recognizing and appropriating additional revenue of $10,000 in the Adult Drug Court Fund for 2012. Article 1, there's hereby recognized additional revenue of $10,000 in the donations revenue line item of the Adult Drug Court Fund for 2012. Article 2, there's hereby appropriated the amount of $10,000 from the Adult Drug Court Fund to the transfers out line item of the Adult Drug Court budget for 2012.
Thank you, George. This money was donated by the city of Fayetteville after a very, productive year busting the bad guys. And since the mayor is back there, the court thanks the city, and I move that we pass 6.5.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Carrie, would you call the roll?
Randy Clark,
Yes.
Rick Hoffman,
Yes.
Lane Keith,
Yes.
John Furman,
Yes.
Barbara Fitzpatrick,
Yes.
Ann Harvison,
Yes.
Tom Lundstrom,
Yes.
Eva Madison,
Yes.
Joe Patterson,
Yes.
Butch Vaughn,
Yes.
Marion Spears,
Yes.
Margie Ellsworth,
Yes.
Rex Baker.
Yes, ma'am.
This ordinance is adopted.
Thank you. And finally, 6.6, George.
An ordinance recognizing and appropriating carryover revenues in the Drug Enforcement State and Drug Enforcement Federal Funds for 2012. Article 1, there are hereby recognized revenues of $16,237 in the carry revenue line item of the Drug Enforcement State Fund for 2012. Article 2, there is hereby appropriated the amount of $16,237 from the Drug Enforcement State Fund to the following line items in the Drug Enforcement State budget for 2012. Drug Enforcement State, general supplies $10,737, small equipment $1,000, clothing uniforms $1,500, medical dental hospital $3,000 for a total appropriation of $16,237. Article 3, there are hereby recognized revenues of $62,815 in the carryover revenue line item of the Drug Enforcement Federal Fund for 2012. Article 4, there is hereby appropriated the amount of $62,815 from the Drug Enforcement Federal Fund to the following line items in the Drug Enforcement Federal budget for 2012. Drug Enforcement Federal, general supplies $45,815, small equipment $2,000, other professional services $5,000, vehicles $10,000 for a total appropriation of $62,815.
Thank you, George. I move we pass 6.6.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Karen, call the roll, please.
Randy Clark,
Yes.
Rick Hoffman,
Yes.
Lane Keith,
Yes.
John Furman,
Yes.
Barbara Fitzpatrick,
Yes.
Ann Harvison,
Yes.
Tom Lundstrom,
Yes.
Eva Madison,
Yes.
Joe Patterson,
Yes.
Butch Vaughn,
Yes.
Marion Spears,
Yes.
Margie Ellsworth,
Yes.
Rex Baker.
Yes, ma'am.
Ordinance is adopted. I have a very short report tonight, and we have so many here to have other interests. I'm going to skip my county judge report tonight, and we'll pick it up at the next meeting. The next thing we have on the agenda is our committee reports. John.
Thank you, Judge. We met on Monday, January 23rd, discussed the year overall for planning, and then keeping this short as well for considering time. We also discussed the microchipping ordinance, which we will be discussing tonight. That concludes my report.
Thank you, John. Mr. Lunsford.
Yes, Judge, we did meet. Ron Woods came to our committee meeting. Superintendent of Buildings and Grounds updated us on the county building that we're trying to do. He told us the total expenses paid to date on the animal shelter equals $141,068.52. The total budget for that building was $1,873,000. It is coming out of the ground, and as far as he can tell, everything's going well on that project. He also updated us on the addition to the JDC, and the total expenses paid to date on that equals $43,241.75. And I'm going to leave some of the architectural fees and so forth out with time in mind as well. I asked him a question concerning the improvements to the sheriff's auxiliary wing of the jail over there that Ben mentioned some months ago, and he said that had been shelved because it turned out to be about a $435,000 project instead of what they thought it might be when they first proposed it. So right now that's been tabled until sometime in the future. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Ann?
Judge, we did not meet for lack of an agenda. Butch?
Yes, the jail and law enforcement met January 30th. We had our routine reports from JDC, Sheriff's Office, and Adult Detention. And then we voted on to pass to the full Quorum Court a resolution authorizing the clerk of the District Court of Elkins to destroy certain records. It's just a cleanup. We could do that right now if you want to, or you want to push it on to later.
Let's push it to later.
Okay. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Candy, you have something else in finance?
Yes, ma'am. In addition to everything we've passed, we also received a copy of the 2010 audit and response, and I need to make a motion that we acknowledge the receipt of that legislative audit.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Say aye. Against? Same sign. Motion's passed.
That's it, Judge. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Furman?
We're talking about the ordinance.
9.
Thank you, Judge. George, can you read?
Yes, okay. All right, we're on our second reading. An ordinance adopting a 1/4 of 1%, 25% sales and use tax for the support of a public mass transportation system and facility, and resolving to refer such to the electorate. Whereas ACA 26-73-110 and 26-73-111 provide that the Quorum Court may adopt a sales and use tax not to exceed 1/4 of 1%, 0.25%, for support of a public mass transportation system and facility. And where it is required that such be referred to the electorate, and whereas Ozark Regional Transit Authority, of which Washington County is a member, has requested that said tax be adopted and referred, now therefore be it ordained by the Quorum Court of Washington County, Arkansas, Article 1. There is hereby adopted a sales and use tax in the amount of 1/4 of 1%, 0.25%, within Washington County, subject to approval by the electorate, to be used to support a mass public transportation system and facilities. Article 2. That a special election for such is called and shall be held on May the 22nd, 2012, and the Washington County Election Commission shall be notified of such. Article 3, that the ballot title for such shall be substantially in the following form. For adoption of a 1/4, 1%, 0.25% special sales and use tax within Washington County for the support of a public mass transportation system and facilities, or against adoption of a 1/4 of 1%, 0.25% special local sales and use tax within Washington County for support of a public mass transportation system and facilities.
Thank you, George. The only comment I want to make, I know there's going to be plenty of discussion here. my understanding is that this is on second reading. It needs to be read 3 times, and it needs to be read no later than March, but it can be read twice tonight as a possibility too. And if it's read tonight, my understanding is that the number of votes to pass it would be, is it 9, correct?
We'll take two-thirds vote, 9 votes to suspend the rules to move it up to third and final reading, and then a simple majority to pass it.
So we'd be suspending the rules, reading it by title only, and then if that passed by 9, then it would be read again to actually vote on this to refer it to the citizens. So with that in mind, I'll leave it to the court here.
I would be in favor of suspending the rules to allow public comment this evening, because there are so many people here who want to speak on this issue. I don't really feel like we should suspend the rules for a third and final reading, because there may be many more people that want to reach us by email and phone, and actually we're planning on coming to the next meeting also.
Second.
So we have a motion.
When you want to extend the time, are you talking about rather than waiting to the end of the meeting, have it now, and then also like how long do we've got a 10-minute period with 3 minutes each. How long do you how you want to expand those?
Let anyone that wants to speak for 3 minutes.
Okay. Just for however long it takes, 3 minutes.
At this time.
Okay. And there's a second, so we'll need to vote on that. So it takes just a simple majority to suspend the rules. Well, we need to vote. There's been a motion and a second. Well, she can.
We still got other discussion.
I realize that, but we got a motion on the floor.
We got a motion and a second, so we're going to need to take it to a vote. Karen, let's go ahead and call the roll.
Candy Clark,
Yes.
Rick Cochran,
Yes.
Lance Eads,
Yes.
John Drummond,
Yes.
Barbara Fitzpatrick,
Yeah.
Ann Harbison,
Yes.
Tom Lundstrom,
Yes.
Eva Madison,
Yes.
Joe Patterson,
Yes.
Butch Pond,
Yes.
Marion Spears,
Yes.
Marty Oliver,
Yes.
Rex Becker.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, we got other motions. I think we've got other
Discussion.
are any other further motions?
Well,
I have a
Barbara has
motion.
been, wants to be recognized.
Yeah, and I don't know exactly if this is the appropriate time to do it, because I was going to make the motion that we go ahead and read it for the third final time tonight. Since we have just passed a motion to open the floor to discussion, the one thing that I wish to make very, very clear to everyone is what we are voting on, or will be voting on, whether it's tonight or next month, is whether or not it goes on the ballot and you get to vote on the tax. It was, in a sense, I don't want to say that your stories about how much you need transit are immaterial, because of course they're not, but what they're material to is that ballot vote next May. They're not material to what we are voting on tonight and possibly in March, depending on whether or not we get a chance to move this up, and for you guys, to know what's going on and to have your concerns met by doing it tonight. Okay, so,
Thank you, Barbara. Tom?
I was going to wait a little later, but I think this is the appropriate time for me to make my motion. I think it's been the declared purpose of this court, and we voted unanimously some months ago to send this issue to the polls to be voted on by the general public. And our desire is to have as many people vote yes or no for it as possible. And with that in view, I would like to make a motion to amend the existing ordinance to move it from the May election to the November general election, so we have more people at the polls. And
Second. Quiet, please. Thank you.
I would also like to amend the fourth whereas. Actually, there's only 3 whereases now, and I want a 4th whereas, which would read, whereas a vote for this ordinance by a justice of the peace does not necessarily reflect the opinion that he or she is in favor of said tax.
Okay, is there a second to?
Point of
Okay.
order,
All right,
George.
first of all, let me speak to the whereas. The whereas clause, adding that whereas clause is not substantive, so that does not move us back a reading. However, changing the election is substantive and would move us back to first reading. Plus, we can't pass that ordinance this month or next month if we're going to hold the election in during the general election, because of it can be no greater than 120 days after we pass the ordinance. So if that passes, then it kind of becomes a dead issue until it comes back again.
Right. My purpose in making this motion is, as I mentioned originally, the main purpose of the court is to have as many people as possible vote up or down on this ordinance. As Ms. Fitzpatrick mentioned a while ago, the statements tonight, the only thing we're voting on is where or when it goes to the poll. We're not voting on whether the tax is going to be passed. That'll be left up to the people. But there's a substantial difference in the number of people that show up for special elections and the number of people that show up for general elections. And the outturn for this general election should be huge, so we would actually be giving a far greater number of people in our county the ability to vote on this issue than we would by putting it on the May ballot. So that's my purpose for making this, so my colleagues understand where I'm coming from. Thank you, Judge.
Thank you. Eva?
I just had a point of order for George. Did Barbara have a motion? Did we deal with that
She
motion?
never made a motion.
Okay.
I guess she decided to wait.
I thought she did, so that's
She
why I
was
was
going
confused.
to, and I think she decided.
I was going to, but I sort of got blindsided.
Okay, thanks. That's all.
Joe?
Judge, I contacted about the voting today, and 2004, when we had incumbent running, and in the general, and just a normal primary. There wasn't a normal primary in 28 because we had two primaries, one for the president, one. But in the primary, there was 8% of the people who was eligible to vote in Washington County voted.
Public can't hear.
There was 8% of the people that voted in 2004 in the primary election. And in the general election, there was 79%. So if you really want an opinion of the people and a good representation of all the voters in the county, we're going to need to wait. I don't see it's going to cost us anything because we've been talking about is these effects of 2013, and we're going to be in 2012 for both elections. Thank you.
Candy?
George, can you run by me one more time what you said about how this would push things back?
Well, the election cannot be held any later than 120 days after you pass the ordinance. So if Tom's motion passes, we can't we can't pass the ordinance because it would be too soon. If it's going to be held in the general election, we'll have to wait and take it up again. Have to go back and recalculate the times and see when's the latest we can pass it. But obviously we can't pass it such that the election will be held any later than 120 days after we pass it.
Okay, I understand. Thank you.
Any other discussion? So no.
Well, we need a vote on Tom's motion.
I have a motion, a second,
There's a
Joe?
second.
I have a motion and a second. Karen, would you call the roll?
Candy Clark?
No.
Rick Cochran?
Yes.
Public speak first.
You're out of order.
Lance Eden?
No.
John Furman?
No.
Barbara Fitzpatrick?
No.
Ann Hardison?
No.
Tom Lundstrom?
Yes.
Eva Madison?
No.
Joe Patterson?
Yes.
Butch Pond?
Yes.
Marion Spears?
Yes.
Margie Osbrook?
No.
Rex Bailey?
No.
Judge,
Failed.
I would still like to amend this ordinance to include the other thing, the first whereas, because it has troubled me the way this is written. It infers that we approve this personally to get it on the ballot, and I understand you have to have that mechanism to do it, but I like Tom's fourth whereas.
Okay,
So I will
so
make the motion that we approve that.
Second, no problem with that.
Okay, so now we have a motion and a second for an amendment. Is that correct?
Right, for whereas this is not substantive, it would not move us back to first reading.
Yeah.
Any discussion on that? Not a problem. Karen, would you call the roll?
Candy Clark.
Yes.
Rick Hopper.
Yes.
Lance Eads.
Yes.
John Furman.
Yes.
Barbara Fitzpatrick.
Yes.
Ann Harkison.
Yes.
Tom Lundstrom.
Yes.
Eva Madison.
Yes.
Joe Patterson.
Yes.
Butch Vaughn.
Yes.
Marion Spears.
Yes.
Marty Alford.
Yes.
Rex Bailey.
Yes, ma'am.
Motion's passed.
Thank you. Now I'm going to make another motion. We suspend the rules and go to third reading by title only.
Second.
These folks are here. They're ready for us to vote. I have heard from tons and tons of folks. Let's do it.
I have a motion and a second to suspend the rules and place this on the third and final reading tonight.
Okay.
We need to vote.
Okay, yeah.
Let's
Call the roll.
Karen, would you call the roll?
Candy Clark.
Yes.
Rick Hopper.
No.
Lance Eads.
No.
John Furman.
Yes.
Barbara Fitzpatrick.
Yes.
Ann Harbison.
No.
Tom Lundstrom.
No.
Eva Madison.
Yes.
Joe Patterson.
No.
Butch Vaughn.
No.
Marion Spears.
No.
Marty Alford.
Yes.
Rex Bailey.
No.
Fails.
It fails.
Fails.
Okay, means you guys got to come back next month.
Okay, now we're on first reading. Are we ready to go ahead and open it up to citizens' comment and then the court resume its discussion? We can do that now. If that's what we want.
That was the motion that we made.
Let's just
Right.
go ahead, and we're going to open this up so we can have public comments now. We don't want to make your evening any longer than we have to. George, will you please explain the rules?
Butch has moved that we extend the period. Normally, it would be a 10-minute period with 3 minutes each. Butch has made a motion. The court has accepted that we extend it for each person to be able to speak for 3 minutes, and there's no overall time limit. But we would ask that people refrain from repeating themselves, and if rather than get up and repeat themselves, if you're welcome to clap after that person makes his remarks, or we can even have a show of hands if we want to ask everybody here who agrees with that statement, please raise your hand. Everybody has 3 minutes. Please refrain from being repetitive, and it's fine for you to show your support of a particular comment rather than repeat it. Right. Right.
Okay, I'm going to start recognizing the people that want to speak. I'm going to ask when you come, please come up to this chair with the mic. Please speak directly into the mic so that the people can all hear what you're saying.
Can I?
Yes, Eva.
Can I ask that they say their name and tell us where they live so we
Yes,
can kind
I
of get
think
an
that's a good
idea from the
idea.
county? Okay, thanks.
I've got a lady that's got her hand up here. I'm going to recognize her. When you come up here, please give me your name. Tell me where you live. I don't care about your dress. If you live in Fayetteville, Lincoln, Springdale, just come tell me what city or what your area.
Okay, I'm Ann Tanner. I live 3922 Park Oaks Drive, Fayetteville.
Thank you.
Last April, I had a seizure, wrecked and totaled my car. My license were taken away. ORT is who I depend on for transportation. Recently, I have had another seizure. I will never be given another license. Please, we need this on the ballot for May 22nd or... Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Next person who wants to speak, raise your hand, please. The next person, come take the chair and give us your information, sir.
Warren Phillips, Lincoln. Yes. I've done some amount of research on the number of transit companies, and the subsidy per trip runs between $24 and $30 per person per trip. Now, I know Mr. Pumphrey has said in the past that ORT's runs about $15. Well, that was some time ago, so I would guess that it would be even more now. Now, doesn't anyone else see a problem with these exorbitant amounts of money being paid for these riders? I know we hear about $100 hammers and $500 toilet seats in the military spending, but why are any of these costs reasonable when we talk about the use of tax money? It's like as long as it's tax money, waste and inefficiency don't matter. At any rate, I find these type of figures as inexcusable and way beyond a reasonable amount of public expenditures of tax money taken from the hands of our hardworking citizens here in Northwest Arkansas. Now, I was at the Benton County Quorum Court meeting when they did not allow this tax to be put on the agenda for this year's primaries. I thought they showed a lot of restraint and consideration for their constituencies. They questioned the reasoning and viability of the far-flung rural routes being offered by ORT. Empty buses traveling all over the county will not help the citizens, the county, or the municipalities that the local citizens support through their many different taxes that they are burdened with. Another of the problems brought forth in the Benton County was the fact that this huge amount of money would just be simply handed over to a private business with no governmental oversight or reasonable accountability to the citizens of Northwest Arkansas for what many of us see as an unfair and unwarranted and unreasonable tax. Now, I'm not against ORT. I think they do I'm not against ORT, but I think a more innovative and intelligent approach to funding could be reached, and we could do it another way rather than just fall back on the tax for people, because every time a tax is raised, every time we do this, we financially burden our citizens with just a little bit more until we get to a point where...
Your 3 minutes is up, sir.
Okay.
And would you be so kind as give me your name and tell me where you live?
Warren Phillips.
And you live where?
Lincoln.
Thank you. Take it. Go right ahead.
Hey, let me say something. Hey, let's be respectful of everybody's point of view, please. Just because you have a different opinion, be respectful of people.
Give me your name and tell me where you live.
Glenda Phillips, Lincoln.
Okay.
I've got, why don't we give the money to subsidize riders? That way they could be qualified as in need of the subsidy. They could be given a smart card, which would be the same as the one sold to regular commuters, so there would not be any stigma attached to its use. This would allow the bus company to charge reasonable fees so they could make a profit from their routes, like any other free market-based business. This would also allow for the accountability of public tax funds from being expended in a suitable manner, so we could maintain a careful accounting of the tax funds and still allow the subsidy to be underprivileged, still allowing the bus company to gain these revenues. This sounds like a win-win situation to me, with everyone getting their needs fulfilled without a $7 million tax that's given to the operator of a private business. I'm sure the details could easily be worked out and we could receive a benefit from our tax money, as well as responsible, organized approach to its expenditures. This is too much money to be handed over to a private business at taxpayer expense. And I wanted to make a comment on the dog microchipping.
Ma'am, that's not part of the conversation right now. We have to keep it at what we're discussing.
This is just on the bus now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Ms. Phillips. Got a lady back here that's got her hand up right in the back. She's had her hand up some time.
If she can manage to get up front.
You're next. Thank you.
Yeah.
Help me here. Okay. We put D. Can you do that? Give me your name and where you live.
My name is Terry Coberly, and I live at 607 North Razorback Road in Fayetteville now.
Thank you.
But I'm the former mayor of Bentonville, and I just want to tell you how proud I am of Washington County, my new county, that you're going to put this on the ballot for people to vote on. As you can see, I'm a supporter of public transit and was on the board of ORT in the earlier years. And when we talk about taxpayer money and businesses and all of that, government is not a business, and the whole point of government is to do things that private business can't. If this were a profitable business, a business would have already taken it over. It's a service that we offer our citizens, and we need to expand that service. We can build highways, and we will fill highways up. We do need highways. But if we can transport more people, have a more efficient system that this money will enable us to do, we will get people transported. We will not spend as much money on highways, hopefully, and we can help the whole gamut. It's an economic opportunity for Washington County, and I'm really sad that my Benton County people did not put it on the ballot to be voted on ever. That's just not okay, and I appreciate the fact that my new county and you all have at least put it before, looks like you're going to put it before the voters. I think that's very well thought out. Thank you.
Terry. Give me your name and where you live.
My name is Beth Carr, and I'm in Fayetteville, Arkansas, 2084 North Chestnut, Apartment 4. And my whole thing is with this, again, I want to tell you guys how much I appreciate that you're bringing it on to vote. And I just can't stress how important it is to keep ORT with our people, because our people cannot drive. Some of them can drive, but some of them can't drive. And we need transportation to go to school, to go to work. We need that kind of stuff. Doctor's appointments, everything. We need that help. And with lifestyles, that would be one of our key coordinates that we really need it. So, thank you for having me.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Gentleman right here in the front. Come on.
Hi, my name is Chuck Bell. I'm from Springdale, Arkansas, and I'm here tonight to represent actually the student body up at Northwest Arkansas Community College. I'm a senator in the student government there, head of the Student Concerns Committee, and there's a great number of students there that are concerned about this issue. 40% of our student enrollment are Washington County residents. That's out of a total of 8,600 students, so well over 3,000 students. We've got a petition signed here. We passed it around for one day, got 750 signatures. We're not asking you guys to make a quarter-cent sales tax. We're just asking you to put it on the ballot to give it a chance. That's all we're asking. We're just asking for the Washington County residents to be able to decide this. That's all. Nothing more, nothing less. And to put it in perspective, it's a quarter, 25 cents on $100, $2.50 on $1,000. That's not a whole lot. It's not a whole lot. We're just asking that you make this small thing, just put it on the ballot for us. The students are concerned about it. There's a lot of people that don't have any other way to get an education. There are many students that it's essential for them to get an education and to get us a skilled workforce coming up. Government, I believe, exists to provide its constituents with services like this. I mean, that's exactly why you're here. So thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
I've got a lady standing in the back. Yes, ma'am. Come forward. Yes. Well,
sir, I've recognized this lady from the back. She had her hand up for some length of time, and I recognized you just as soon as I can. Give me your name and where you live, ma'am.
My name is Christy Adkins, and I live at 2200 East Mountain Road, Building O, number 202, Springdale, Arkansas.
Thank you.
I worked for 30 years, started at 12. I actually obtained a college education, raised 2 children, a foster child, and unfortunately a husband. I have found myself unforeseeingly ill and early retirement, and I honestly have no other way to buy groceries go to the doctor, the dentist. And I would like to point out that I, too, not only paid income taxes all those years, I still pay taxes on everything here. So earlier it was simply sort of pointed out that this was something other people were giving to other people. No, we pay also, and we pay for the service. And that's all I'd like to say. Thank you very much.
Very much. I've got this. Yes, ma'am. You're next. Yes.
My name is Michelle Halsell, and I live at 230 West Cleburne Street in Fayetteville, Arkansas. I'd just like to say that when I was a little girl, we stood up every day in elementary school, and we said the Pledge of Allegiance. And we talked about liberty and justice for all. Liberty means freedom, and this quarter-cent sales tax is an opportunity to expand ORT's transportation system. It's about ensuring liberty and justice for all of our citizens. It's about ensuring freedom to accept a better job that's farther away and not being stuck in a lesser job because it's the only job that you can reasonably get to. It's about the opportunity to get ahead economically and provide a better life for your family. It's about access to education and a chance to get on the economic ladder. It's about ensuring freedom and autonomy for our disabled citizens so that they can participate fully in the economic and social life of our community. It's about ensuring the freedom, autonomy, and independence of our senior citizens so that they can participate more fully in the life of our community. It's also about shoring up our economy. Last night on the evening news, there was a report that said that for every 10-cent increase in a gallon of gas, this nation loses $9 billion from our economy. Our economy is leaking. The same principle applies at the local level. As gas prices go up and incomes remain flat, it means less disposable income to spend at our local businesses. For every $1 we spend on gasoline, 97 cents leaves our local economy. Gas prices are predicted to rise well over $4 this summer. The longer we delay building a strong, reliable transit system, the longer our local economy is held hostage by Iran and countries in the Middle East that are not friendly to us. Finally, it's about creating jobs and attracting new businesses to our area. If we, the citizens, pass this tax, ORT will add 65 new jobs, and employers who are deciding where to locate are looking for communities with robust, reliable transit systems so people can get to work. This tax is an opportunity for us to deliver on the words of our pledge: liberty and justice, economic justice for all of our citizens. It's about more choice, not less. It's about jobs in the economy. It's about freedom, opportunity, and fairness. Please let the citizens decide.
Thank you, ma'am.
I'm Jim Lobler. I'm from west side of Fayetteville. First of all, you know, we got people here clapping that they want democracy, but then they're booing if we try to get 70% of the people in democracy. I'm a disabled vet. I can't work anymore. I got nerve damage, okay? I did my deal, and now I see people who want to cut out another 50% of our people. That's just dead wrong. And I didn't come here to speak about it, but I had to say something. First of all, I went to college. I took a break in service. I had to put myself through college. And I was so poor, I went down to Montgomery Wards, bought a moped, and there's a 185-pound former airborne infantry riding a moped and balancing 2 paper sacks. You know, I got the dime items. Y'all remember the days, you know, where you could get a can of soup for 25 cents. Get the little crackers to fill you up. Folks, I've been to college, and, you know, there are ways to do it if you put your mind to it. What we have here is we have a culture that says, give it to me, give it to me, give it to me. I just don't understand it. Now, we had the school come in with a $100 million school. This is all pertinent because it goes to the tax. Okay, so they got to raise the tax. Mayor Jordan goes to a meeting and he says, well, I won't do a tax. I'll wait till next year. I won't do it this year because I don't want to mess up your school tax. Well, a couple years later, what happens? Now we got another tax that comes up. Folks, a quarter of a cent may not mean anything, but you take 60,000 people with every single dollar that they have, it's not going into the economy. The government does not efficiently do anything. Had somebody say that that it's only a quarter, Well, but it's not efficient. $20 a person. It's talking about gas. $20 a person. God, let's just buy them a car. Now, I am a social moderate, and a lot of my conservative friends are going to boo me when I leave here. I do agree for people who are disabled, indigent, just can't drive a car for real medical purposes, and Social Security has verified it. There should be some type of pick up and move system. I saw it in Georgia, and that's the only thing in Atlanta, Georgia that worked, and it was done on a local city basis. So I think you need to rethink this, make it efficient, help the people who really need help, and if Social Security says it, let's buy it. Okay, we'll send out, we'll have 2 or 3 little vans that go right to their door and pick them up and safely move them, and we'll charge them $1 so they can participate. I guess I'm running over time, and I could really harp on this thing. But lastly, a college came up here. 700 kids, or maybe some adults too, signed the petition. Colleges are exceeding the rate of growth in this country multiple times. Where does it end with the colleges? They just keep taking money and taking money. I don't see them growing 2% a year.
Your time's up, Mr.
Let the kids work it out.
Thank you. I've got a gentleman back here that's got a cap on. Yes, come forward, sir. No, sir, I've got another one coming that I've recognized. I'm sorry. Hang on.
As you can see, I'm disabled. This walking to RT is my only way of getting around. My name is Jeff Coltzow. I live at 2678 North Club Drive, apartment number 2. I live in Fayetteville. I'm a disabled vet too, and I need this. It's the only way I can get to my VA appointments and the Veterans Association at the hospital here. It's the only way I get to go, because I live too far to walk, and I need that transportation. I need the transportation to go. I need the transportation to go to other doctor's appointments on Sunbridge Road. That's part of the VA. I need the transportation to go to Walmart to get my groceries, and and besides that, I used to be online, and MSN, as I don't know if anybody sees it, they ranked Fayetteville number 10 in the nation to move to. And they said the only thing that makes Fayetteville not be higher than number 10 is its transportation system. It's lousy. It's not dependable. If we had a dependable transportation, we would have been ranked, Fayetteville or Washington County would have been ranked closer to number 1 than number 10, because we don't have a reliable transportation. We need to let the people speak. We need to put the vote to the ballot. If the county decides not to vote for, if they vote it down, then they vote it down. But we have to give the people, we need to give the people a chance, to vote for it. And that's all I got to say.
Thank you, sir.
And I appreciate the opportunity.
Yes, ma'am. Come forward.
I'm Velma Schaefer. I live in Springdale, 6403 Elizabeth Avenue. And this is going to be very short, but I have a question for all of you, if you don't mind.
Ma'am, right now, we're not going to exchange.
Okay.
This is just
all
for
right.
comments.
I don't know how many people in the room know anything about Agenda 21. This is part of the United Nations. And if anybody wants to get online, just Google Agenda 21. Fayetteville is very much involved with the Agenda 21 United Nations. And I'm just going to read one paragraph out of some of their goals. They talk about smart growth and sustainability and those kind of things, but it said transportation plans that reduce the freedom of mobility, forcing people to live near where they work and transforming communities into heavily regulated but self-sufficient feudalistic transit villages. And if you read their program, what they want to do is put us in cluster cities, eliminate about 50% of the people who live in the country. When you actually look at this, it's scary, and there's a lot of people don't know about it. And I am fully in sympathy for the people who have to depend on this for transportation. Today in Elm Springs, I saw one of the big buses with one rider on it, and you can't convince me that we need to put the big buses out. If you're going to do something, make it more lucrative. Put smaller buses for these people to be on. Rarely do I ever see more than 2 or 3 people at a time in that area. And there are other methods of transportation. We understand now that they're wanting to put a bus to Fayetteville to Fort Smith. Well, we already have a Jefferson bus lines in our own town that takes care of that transportation. So I feel like if we're trying to duplicate a service that's already available, that is a sad thing for us to do. But if they do put this for a vote, and I think you've already said that this will be voted on in May, I really believe that only 9% of the people have the opportunity, and I'd like to see them move it to the general election in November. And I respect all that you do, but I'm really against adding any new taxes.
Thank you, ma'am. This gentleman right here. You're next, sir, with the orange card.
Mark Indovino, 902 Caudle, Springdale, Arkansas. I and the bus drivers came up with a list of people that need the buses, and that's disabled veterans, handicapped, elderly, and that includes people that may be suffering from Alzheimer's dementia and may still have a license and may create a public hazard if they drive. Psych patients, young and underprivileged, and single parents. Also, I started using the buses only because I've been a victim of crime, the theft of my automobile. And this may sound a little far-fetched, but I predict an increase in crime, particularly those type of crimes involving vehicles like bicycle thefts, carjackings, and other kinds of crimes that people need to get money to get transportation. And, you know, it's said that wealth is the parent of luxury and indolence, and poverty of meanness and viciousness. And that's all. I just predict an increase in crime. People may not think it's important to pay a little more to help people that are indigent or unable to afford transportation. But if they become a victim of a crime like I did, particularly a vicious one like a carjacking, they might think otherwise. And I hope that doesn't happen. But
thank you very much, sir.
You bet.
This gentleman's been very patient, sir. You come on up.
Okay, my name is Joe Alexander. I live in Fayetteville. And I ask you not to put this on the ballot. Now, I work for a living, and I provide for my own transportation. I either drive my car when I have a lot of heavy things to carry, which I generally do, for my work, or else I ride a bicycle, or else I walk. And I don't ask anybody to subsidize my transportation I provide for myself. And I've never ridden the ORT, and I would not want to ride the ORT now that I know that it is that people that can't afford any more taxes would be taxed, you know, to subsidize my transportation on the ORT. So I say, you know, we're supposed to have sympathy with these people that say they have no other way of getting around, or that there's no other way to raise the money for the system except this tax. And I say, let's have some sympathy for the hardworking people that are finding it harder and harder and harder all the time to make ends meet in this bad economy, which is not getting better. Let's have some sympathy for those people that can't afford to pay any more taxes. And I think it would be a good idea to move the election to the general election. And I've seen the ORT buses going around in Fayetteville for quite some years now. Very few people use them. I'd say probably less than 10% of the people in Fayetteville use them, probably less than 5%. And so I think taxes should only be for things that everybody uses, that everybody benefits from, and some other way should be found to provide for transportation to the people that really, really, really can't find any other way to get around. So I urge you not to put this on the ballot, or to put it on the ballot in November.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir.
My name is Tony Blanchett. I'm from Springdale, Arkansas. I am also a vet. I have been waiting to get declared to be disabled myself. When my company folded, I used to recruit truck drivers for major trucking firms. When my company folded, I could have taken an ORT, but I didn't. I walked. I walked over 2 miles. With my limp, my arthritis, bad knees, I have to wear sunglasses because the bright lights of the sun really tears my eyes up. I came to tell you that I fought for a certain reason. I fought for a republic where people have a right to certain things. You have a right to the money that you make, and you do not have to commit to a charity that you do not believe in. I came here to tell you that you're not saying that we're going to offer this right for everybody to vote on this. You're offering the right of a few people to get their hands into other people's pockets for their own benefit. And that is not the conduct of a republic. This is not what government is for. It's to stop people from killing each other, breaking things, and stealing each other's things, and raping each other. That's what government is for. And when we start steering away from those methods, we steer straight into failure. Our government right now, cities, counties, states, and our federal government is underwater. We are looking at a total failure of our own economy due to inflated issues. Gimme, gimme, gimme. Guess what? When it all goes down, that one system that I came here to fight for is going to disappear. This is very, very grave. If you can't give us enough time to think about it and save us some money by putting it on the November election, which I hope you do not put it on the ballot, but at least do that. Save some money and put it on the November ballot. But I encourage you, don't give people access, a few people access to everybody else's pocketbook for their own motives. Send a bill to NWAC and make them pay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Did you have your hand up, sir? Okay, come right on, sir.
It's going to be a minute. And my name is Mr. Gus. I stay in Fayetteville. And it's, honestly, I believe in my heart it's not about the tax. It's about your compassion for your fellow man. The Bible said, God said, how can you love me who you don't see and love your fellow man who you see every day? Now, if we don't have the compassion enough, the tax, it's not about the tax. What kind of compassion do you have for your fellow man when you yourself at one point in time was in need yourself? We all have our needs. We all have been in need. And if we can't help each other, then what kind of humanity are we? What kind of people can we say that we are if we don't have the compassion to help and to aid one another? That's all I have to say.
Thank you, sir.
Hello?
Hello.
I'm Victoria Bransford McClendon, and I'm from Fayetteville, Arkansas. And I'm a professional that rides the ORT. And I wanted to report what a wonderful thing it is. I enjoy riding it. I find it punctual. I find the drivers polite. And I have enjoyed the community of people on the bus that I encounter. I'm thrilled as a personal reason of sustainability. I don't drive my car as much. I park it at the mall. It's safe, and I feel I can rely on a certain amount of more discretionary money at the end of the week, which I have to spend on something else. I'm very pleased with the conversations I've had with people on the bus. It allows me a relaxed moment, not to struggle with traffic. I've been driving the long distance to Bentonville for about the length of the time the bypass has been built. And so this is very refreshing. I like the choice. I feel I know other people in my situation that also like the choice. So I am able to speak with other professionals on the bus or to speak with other people I know or might meet in that circumstance. I'm proud of Fayetteville for being forward-looking, and I think this is an element of it in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
My name is Ronald Sharon. I live in Fayetteville. I thought I knew what I wanted to say till I got up here, but you know, this bus system, people can say what they want about it. You know, every human being has a survival instinct. You know, I've met some good people. There's good people, beautiful children, food and this there, and good drivers that really care about getting people, you know. I mean, I've had to walk a couple miles. It's hard, 34 operations, spent 5.5 years in a wheelchair, you know. I don't take for granted walking, you know, and I sure don't take for granted this transportation system. I think unless you have it taken away from you, you can't appreciate it. And I'm sure you all don't have to worry about that because you can just get in your cars and go. But I wish this thing would just get on the ballot, you know, and let the people decide on it. Because without that, you know, we've got a chance if we get it on the ballot. If we don't, you know what's going to happen. And I was going to go off and try to file my own motion, but I'll just be quiet.
Thank you, sir, very much. Thank you.
I'm going to be a little nervous on this. My name is William Robert Fink, and I live in Springdale, Arkansas. About 2 semesters ago, I lost my job, and I went back to NWAC as a student to become an education major. I drove, and I had no money to buy gas. So the guy that talked about how much gas and buy a car, yeah, if y'all want to buy a car and buy us gas, we can go to school. But so a friend of mine told me about ORT. And so I catch the bus all the time and come to Washington County campus in Springdale because I don't live very far from there. I appreciate that ORT has the bus for NWAC students. There's some that really can't drive. I know Chuck said that. There are also other teachers that do take the bus. And we do like meeting all of them, getting to know some of our fellow students. Also the lady that said that the bus at Elm Springs comes empty, most of us are in school till 4:15 in the afternoon. So we do not catch the bus till that time. And they have the big bus at 4:15, and I will tell you that it is overflowing. It is overflowing. I've had to stand. There's been about 6 or 8 of us that have had to stand. But please don't take away this, because I know people, and we love our drivers. We love everybody that rides the bus. Please just put this to the voters, because we need it, especially with everybody trying to get an education. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Evening. My name is Lonnie King. I'm living in Fayetteville as of the past 2 weeks. I moved out here basically from Dallas, Texas, where the Dallas area rapid transit runs strong, and I think every quarter hour. I have 2 cars, and I've been unemployed, underemployed, currently underemployed, and this morning I had a job interview up in Rogers, and I'm in Fayetteville, and I have 2 cars broke down now, and I'm like, what do I do? But I have the ORT system as my third backup, and I was thankful, because I've been spoiled. I was raised in Dallas, where I could hop on a DART bus, go to the zoo, blah blah, here there at any time. So I was really thankful this morning to be able to get onto the ORT system, and I think if they could even improve it, make it every half hour or quarter hour, that would maybe make the program better, But at least I understand from taxpayers' point of view where, it's going to take a little bit of our pocket to help the low-income people who are struggling for whatever reason. But at least the people will have a chance to decide, the majority vote, decide on this wonderful system, I think. So.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Come on.
My name is Karen Rollet Crocker, and I live in Fayetteville. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about League of Women Voters studies. We've had 3 panels over the years that have studied the issues of transportation. We have discovered that transit is very underfunded, typically, and this is something we need for the future. We need to be able to afford for our communities this kind of transportation. Also, there's a very good study that was done that I was very lucky to be able to be invited on the advisory committee for the Regional Planning Office, and I would recommend it because this is the time to start working on that plan. We will not get another opportunity for that. This was state money that was given as a gift to this community to create this plan, and it's excellent. They rode every bus. They looked at everything that was going to happen. It's clear that ORT is the growth opportunity we have, that the other bus system we have for the university is actually not planning to grow. And so that means that we have to depend on ORT. So I would recommend that you do put this to the voters and let them get educated about the opportunity we have today.
Thank you very much. Ma'am, I've got yes.
I can't sit down in that chair, so I'll...
if you're more comfortable to stand, that's fine.
Yeah, and everybody can hear me, I'm sure. My name's Andy Allo. I'm an adjunct instructor at the Community College, State and Local Government and American Government. I am certainly a supporter of ORT and a supporter of the ballot, but my comment is that everybody here tonight who has an opinion about this, if you are not registered to vote, your opinion will not count because you will not be there at the appropriate time to make your opinion heard. Those of you who are not registered to vote, if you care about this issue, go register to vote. Sitting here and talking all day doesn't mean a whole lot. When it counts is on voting day at the ballot. And it's really true that a very small number of local voters are the ones who decide local issues. So register to vote if you care about this issue, whatever your opinion is. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, come on, sir.
That's right. Community. Good evening. My name is David Barnes. I live in Springdale. I'm a war vet with a service-connected disability, and it's no longer safe for me to drive a vehicle. I've come to rely on ORT for my medical appointments. Oftentimes, it's difficult to get around any other way because of the price of gas, and it'd be nice to be able to go and buy a scooter or a moped, but it's not feasible for some of us, and we need this bus. I've got to get groceries, my medical appointments, my medications, they're all in Fayetteville, and there's no way I can walk that distance. We need to put this to the public so that we can decide whether or not we want to pay for it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. You're going to have to recognize other people first. You spoke, sir. Yes, sir. Back here.
Good evening. My name is Eric Leffingwell. I live in Fayetteville. I'm a homeowner and a registered voter. I rely on the ORT to get me to school every day. I've spent time on my feet. I've walked to work before. I can do it again. I'm trying to get a high demand job at the moment as a CNA while I pay for myself to go through nursing school. I want to be an RN. I cannot walk 30 miles to get to Bentonville to do that. I have 5 children. Me and my wife sometimes have to rub 2 pennies together to get a nickel. If I cannot get this job, it is a very realistic possibility that without my financial aid, this county will have at least 7 more homeless people. 700 students, we can pay for them to go to school, I think, knowing that they have a very good possibility of getting a job afterwards that will pay taxes. We don't want 700 more homeless people. We don't want 700 more people to pay unemployment. We don't want 700 more people having to put gas in their car instead of going to the Ozark Co-op to spend their money. The Underground already had to shut down this year because we didn't have enough money to support local artists. Very good chance that money was going into the pump. I don't care what level of income you are around here, I've heard everybody complaining about gas. ORT gives people who need it and offers the people who don't need it a relief from that. If you can ride the ORT, do it. Very educated people ride that bus, including professors. Do they need to? Maybe. I don't know their financial situation. But sometimes I have just as much educational discussions on that bus on the way home when I do with my professors after class. That's all I'm saying.
Thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome.
Good evening. My name is Michael Drager. I live here in Fayetteville, and I also work at Seven Hills Homeless Center. And just for your information, last year we used over 600 ORT bus passes that were given to us by that company to provide our clients a way to get to job, to get to job training, to get to support groups, so they can get back on their feet. And while I recognize this is a sticky situation with hard answers, I just appreciate the fact that you are listening and that you are willing to put this to a vote to the people, because it does make a difference to people that are homeless and that are in poverty situations. And there is no black and white or no cut and dry answer to solve the issue. And for a chance for people that are our clients to be able to get back on their feet because they have transportation is greatly appreciated. So thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
I'm Joe Maynard from Fayetteville, and I have no doubt that many of the people here desperately need transportation, some more than others. I do not intend to address the math because anybody who looks at it, it clearly does not work. Too often and too many times in the recent past, we as a governed people have created a forced equity or forced equality, rights of which we are surely not born owning. We see this in our personal habits, our schools, and in particular in our government actions. Our educational system reflects that we teach in our schools in such a manner that all have a mediocre education at the expense of the personally responsible students and for the benefit of our least participatory ones. We quickly seek the lowest common denominator. The same seems to be true for most forced government initiatives, including this one. The transportation initiative being discussed here tonight is yet another of a long series of manufactured entitlements, which will be the downfall of this once great nation, if not quickly abated. The economics are clearly indicative of many similarly subsidized welfare programs. We are entitled to life. None should be allowed to harm and kill another. Liberty, the freedom to make our choices for good or bad, but living with the consequences of those choices. And the pursuit of happiness, not guaranteed happiness, but the environment, to attain incremental happiness as we are individually capable of achieving it. The purpose of this court is to govern, and that is to say, restrain. Does this mean to restrain the people in their liberty and the pursuit of happiness, or to restrain the government from forcing some to pay for the circumstances or choices of others? To increase public transportation system is outside the scope of good government. This should be a voluntary and discretionary choice of each individual given directly to the recipient rather than managed by a quasi-governmental agency accountable to no stakeholders. A democracy allows the majority to oppress the minority. This is the reason we have a republic. I urge this court to restrain the government to its proper role and avoid yet another manufactured entitlement to limit all of our liberties. The legitimate needs of those truly needy will be met without this court defaulting on its responsibility to our founding and sustaining principles. It is clear to see by anyone who can add and subtract that the actual true fair cost range from a low of $25 to a high of $50 per person. We have two choices: create yet another unsustainable welfare entitlement for the few at the expense of the many, or to reject this notion of government obligation and allow the people and the entities which benefit from a public transportation system to bear the cost of it. Hospital services, Medicare, Social Security entitlements already provide for most of these needs. NWAC can surely subsidize those it charges for the services it provides and benefits from. If we choose the former, where will it end? We're offering free rides to people to come lobby for their own benefits. What's next? What can we afford? What is our right to attain? Do we require all postal deliveries directly to our door and in our hands? Do we hire additional law enforcement to provide individual protection for each individual in the country? You'll hear a lot of compelling arguments here tonight. Let's let all citizens decide. Mr. Lundstrom's point was well taken. I cannot imagine, I could not have envisioned this court deciding we're not going to have any indication of tacit approval of this ordinance. We don't want to say that this court is for it or against it, but yet we're going to let 7% of the public vote on it instead of 70%. That's outrageous. Please do your jobs for which you were elected. Say no to what we should not afford. No more entitlements. I appreciate your attention. Thank you very much.
I'm going to let you speak just very shortly.
Okay, yes, ma'am. What I can see here.
I have somebody who has had her hand up that has not had a chance to speak.
Okay, send her on up here.
I know it.
Hi, my name is Lisa Lindsay. I live in Fayetteville,
And I hadn't intended to speak, but I think we've heard a lot from people who, for whatever reasons, are quite desperate for this service. But there are lots of working people with disabilities who also use this service. And this service ensures that they can be independent and that they can be taxpayers. They use this for transportation to jobs. And I haven't heard them speaking out tonight, but I just wanted to represent them. I work for Lifestyles. Quite a few of my clients use this transportation to get to and from jobs, and they do pay taxes and they contribute to the community, and this lets them actively participate in community. So I recognize that this service is needed for your low income, but there are elderly and working people who are using this as their only form of transportation because they are not able to have a driver's license, and without any kind of public transportation, you leave them limited to things like taxi cabs, and it costs them more to go to work than they make it work when you have to use the taxi cab. So there is, if you remove this, you're at a very real possibility of putting a lot more people on welfare because they're going to have to give up their jobs in order to survive, because they can't pay the taxi rate and they can't be walking that far to their job. So you're sort of leaving them with no options. So I do encourage you to put it to a vote. I think it's an important issue, and I'm not familiar with the statistics and how much it costs, but I do know that this is an important community service that will help students get to the next level and be good taxpayers. And I think your small investment here will pay off.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, I've got a lot that has not spoken. Go ahead, ma'am.
I'm Nancy Neal, and I live on Don Drive, and I like taking the transit every morning. I said they're good drivers, and I got a question for everybody. If transit, how can anybody go to doctor or go to hospital? And some people like me, I like taking the transit because sometimes if I don't get the transit, then I have to take the taxi, and taxi costs me a lot of money. So I like taking the transit, and I think all of the drivers is real nice, and I like they doing their job. I like it if we could keep the bus going for other people, you know. I like taking the bus, and the drivers is real nice. I appreciate them every month, and I like to vote for them if I could.
Thank you, honey. I've got a couple people who's had their hand up back here for quite a while. Yes, sir. Come forward. Yes.
My name is David Orr. I'm at 1564 West Cedar Street in Fayetteville. And I want to echo the many voices that you've heard tonight that really show how important maintaining ORT as a functional, viable organization is to service the people who absolutely depend on it for all of their personal needs. But I want to address a subject that has not been brought up that I think really speaks to a lot of the misimpressions that exist in the community, and you've heard some of these misconceptions expressed here tonight. That this service, public transportation, is not just for people who have no access to an automobile. It is there has been a fellow named Paul Weyrich, who founded the National Conservative Political Action Committee. He was one of Ronald Reagan's political advisors back when Reagan was running for president and when he was in the White House. Weyrich has, in recent years, become a very active advocate for public transit because he has done many studies. You can find these online. He's done many studies with an organization he started that shows that the communities that invest in public transportation are providing not only services for disadvantaged and the less fortunate among us, but they're also providing transportation alternatives for those who have cars, for those who could drive, but who go out there on the highway every day and they see traffic jams. And they face the same issue that we are facing that has not been brought up today, which is traffic congestion on the roads. And what the Northwest Arkansas Regional Council has been calling for, which is a massive public spending program for more highways. Now, we hear a lot from opponents of public transit about the subsidies to poor people for public transit, but sales tax is the most regressive tax, and who is going to be paying the most of their meager budget percentage-wise to support regional transit? It's going to be those very poor people who depend on regional transit to get them to the grocery store, get them to the doctor, and so forth. But what we can look forward to if we invest in and we improve and increase the capacity for ORT, if we grow it, then we provide alternatives. We make the bus service appealing. We make it attractive for folks who see that, wow, I could get to work. I could work on my laptop. A lot of bus systems around the country have wireless. You don't have to sit in traffic. You can leave the driving to Ozark Regional Transit, and you can go in a fast, efficient, clean, and modern vehicle. Let me also point out that if we don't address this cash shortfall now, if we wait and piddle around and let the highway lobby divert a bunch of our meager tax revenues towards building an unnecessary freeway on the west side of the county, what we're going to see is that we're going to have more and more auto emissions. We're going to have air pollution that's going to bring us into what they call non-attainment status. And when you get into non-attainment status, the EPA and Arkansas Department of Environmental Quality will have to impose some restrictions on various things like highway funding. So what we'll do is we'll find ourselves back to square one. So we can either support economic development, we can look forward, look ahead. Let's plan more than just the next few years. Let's plan 20, 40, 50 years down the line and recognize that if we don't have a viable, strong, efficient mass transit, we are putting a noose around our own necks, and we don't want to do that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
There's people in here. I'm just saying, do you guys really care about this? I'm concerned about this. There's people saying that there's nobody on the bus. Well, it's funny. I've never seen them on there. And then there are people from Benton County riding the bus. You know, are you just taking hearsay evidence from people? I ain't never seen nobody on there from here. If you want to find out, it's good.
Thank you, sir. Okay, I've got a bunch of hands up. What I'd like to do is I'd like to get you, everyone that's got your hands up, get in the aisles, line up in order, and I'm going to recognize the ones that are standing in the aisle, and then we're going to go on from there. Yes, ma'am. Come right on.
My name is Kathy Mibbs. I'm a driver for ORT, and I want you to know that I drive the Fayetteville, this area in here. My bus is always full. I've got the elderly people, the disabled people, people that go to school. My bus is always full. I'm a taxpayer too. I have seen people needing the bus. Not only did before I came here to Fayetteville, I also drove the bus in Bentonville. Those people over there need the bus. There is so many, just in the Bentonville alone, there is 10 people in wheelchairs that depend on the bus to get them to doctor's appointments, that depend on them to get to the store. They have no other transportation at all. So that's all I'm going to say, that we definitely need it.
Thank you, ma'am. Next one from Georgia.
Hi, my name is Sarah Marsh. I'm from Fayetteville, and I serve as the facilitator for the Fayetteville Forward Green Economy Group. Our organization of almost 200 members has designated support of public transportation as one of our priority issues for 2012 to promote jobs and opportunity in our region. According to the 2007 economic census, for every $1 we spend at the pump, only 3 cents stays in our local economy. Contrast that to every $1 we spend on groceries and 9 cents stays in our economy. Clothing, it's 13 cents, and in restaurants, it's 30 cents. Assuming our transportation patterns stay the same, when, not if, but when gas reaches $4 a gallon, regional spending on gasoline will hit $500 million a year, or that's approximately $3,000 per household per year. Of that, $485 million is draining out of our local economy. The members of the Fayetteville Forward Green Economy Group demand immediate action to plug this leak. If we can reduce household transportation spending by only 10%, that puts $50 million back into circulation in our local economy. That's $50 million for members of our community to spend on groceries, clothing, housing, or restaurants. This is money that we can save and create jobs in our community. We need jobs, people need transportation options, and our economy cannot wait. Please bring this issue to the voters now. Thank you.
Debbie Beckerdike from Fayetteville. Can I pass out some information to you? Can I pass this out?
Just hand it and let them pass it around the horseshoe. Yeah. And go ahead and do your presentation.
Okay. I'm going to use this flyer here as the reference on that is Randall O'Toole from the Gridlock, Why We're Stuck in Traffic and What to Do About It. And the reason that I'm showing you this is I was told by ORT that there are no other transit systems that are unsubsidized. As you can see, we found 3 easily here. Atlantic City, San Juan, and New York City. These are unsubsidized by government. Also, one argument that is a big argument by a transit system is that the highway costs are, in effect, subsidies for automobiles. However, when you break it down to a passenger mile, and that's on this other flyer, and I highlighted just these 2 columns to be brief, one passenger a passenger mile is one passenger carried 1 mile, which means that with 2 people going a mile, it's 2 passenger miles, and 1 person going 2 miles is 2 passenger miles. The subsidy of automobiles is minuscule. Transit advocates may say that highway subsidy is 3 times transit, but as you can see on this, based on a passenger mile, transit cost is 100 times as much as highways. That means that cars are your more efficient mode of transportation. Public transit agencies encourage people to believe that if the taxes are not there and they're not subsidized, that it's going to disappear. And then people won't have cars and they won't have mobility. This is not true, because you will see the private sector rise up and provide this service to them. And it can be subsidized with donations and vouchers. And that can come from the corporations and from the public with donations. Also, you've got Medicare. They've got respite care program. Medicaid has a cash and counseling program for those that qualify. You've got area aging Agency on Aging and other organizations to help out with transportation for those that are truly needy. As I can see it, the transportation system that you're asking to put a tax on, you've got $7.5 million that's coming in from this tax. The shortfall is $1 million. What they're wanting to do with this at AORT is to put a big expanded bus system in, similar to that in Little Rock and Tulsa. This is not necessary. We're not Tulsa and we're not Little Rock. It's true that there may be a need there, but when you're putting this on the ballot, you're asking for another tax on us. And the problem is that, do we really need a mass transit system? That's not going in there. Let the public vote on something like that, not another tax. We're taxed to death. We've got a possible diesel tax proposal. We've always got school taxes, and we need to have a break in the way the government thinks. We should not be doing this. As best I can see, ORT management has not expended what they need to get the business up and going. Anytime you've got government business or a private business, you have got to make sure that the business makes money. It doesn't matter if it's government or private. It has to make money or at least break even. This is where we are with ORT. They're not even breaking even. So they need to do their homework. They need to get it together and look at alternatives. We need solutions, folks. We don't need more taxes. Please don't put this to a ballot and make them do their homework. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Dr. Smith. Thank you very much, Judge Edwards, members of the Quorum Court. My name is Stephen Smith. I live in Precinct 5, Fayetteville. I'm speaking tonight on behalf of the Northwest Arkansas Labor Council.
Go ahead, Steve.
I'm speaking tonight on behalf of the Northwest Arkansas Labor Council, if Judge Edwards will let me. I'm not an expert on the United Nations, and I'm not here speaking on their behalf. I haven't done a study of the transit system in San Juan, Puerto Rico, and I'm not here to speak about that. I am here to speak about the decision that's before this Quorum Court. There are lots of reasons that the Labor Council has traditionally opposed sales tax as a means of financing government because it hits hardest on the poor people. But this transit system helps everyone. You've heard from people tonight who need to use it because they either can't afford their own transportation or are not physically able to do so. The reason the Labor Council has taken a position on this is because it proposes an ability to expand the transit system. And by doing that, it'll be able to provide transportation for people to get job training at Northwest Arkansas Community College, Northwest Technical Institute. And having a trained labor force is good for this city, it's good for our economy, it's good for this county, it's good for Northwest Arkansas. So transportation for job training, and then when you have the trained labor force, we'll have an expanded transportation that people can go to their jobs, can go to work. And finally, being trained, having jobs, having income, it'll provide a better way for customers to get to businesses and spend their money. But the question the court faces tonight, I think, is not that. The question is whether or not we're going to put this to a vote of the people and trust the people to make a decision on it. And those that don't want to pay taxes, those that don't have any compassion, can vote against it. Those that think that a transit system is a good idea can vote for it. Now, the argument that it should be in November and May is one that I can't address definitively, but the state at least has made the decision that we can elect Supreme Court judges and district court judges and circuit court judges at the May election, and everybody comes out to vote for those. And I think it's important that the sooner This issue is presented to the people. Let them decide. Let the people rule. I urge you to do so, and I'll yield back the balance of my time.
Good evening, members of the Quorum Court. My name is Don Marr. I'm Chief of Staff for Mayor Jordan at the City of Fayetteville, and I'm the Ozark Regional Transit Board member for the City of Fayetteville. And I wanted to speak to you as one of the voting members on the ORT board related to this issue. I want to be clear that we in the City of Fayetteville and our vote on that board is in support of this going to the voters to decide. We believe that when you hear statements like, "I wish you would do what the people want," and you hear the discussion you've heard tonight on each side of it, we believe that you should hear from what the people want. Speaking to the point of the election. Personally, we believe that the majority will clearly come forward. And when I hear people say, we don't want to vote, we don't want to vote in April because so few vote, that's our responsibility as citizens. If these issues are important to us, we come out and we take a position on them. And the people who don't want that to happen because they believe that people won't participate, that's our job on each side of these issues to get the people involved. If they don't care to vote, then they don't have an opportunity to complain about the result. That's right. Regardless of the time. I also just want to say that there have been discussions in the paper about ORT board being divided. Retired Mayor Jerry Van Hoos is the Springdale City representative on ORT. I spoke with him today, and he asked me to share his vote, his vote as a board member, as a peer board member, that he was supportive of this going to the citizens for a decision. Myself, as the City of Fayetteville, support this going to the citizens for a decision. The Washington County member abstained from that vote because you as the body would hear this issue. The remaining votes were from Benton County representatives. Just as I don't believe it is my job as a City of Fayetteville representative to tell Benton County how to vote in their county, I don't believe that it is their job to tell us how to vote in our county. I also believe that we have numerous studies that speak to the issue of transportation needs, road needs, transit needs, trail needs, light rail needs, growth needs. These are all items, and in order for us to be able to continue to handle the types of growth that we have seen historically, and particularly in the last several census, we're going to have to look at more than one way to transport and move people. And this is a part of that discussion. I'm also confident that if the people don't want it, then the tax would be defeated. And if the people do want it, then we'll see it passed. And the people who want to have a say in it will participate. I have confidence in those voters as a City of Fayetteville resident, as an ORT board member, and working for a mayor who supports transit. Thank you.
My name's Tina. I'm from South Fayetteville. First, in terms of taxes, it's a democracy. Everybody has to pay taxes they don't approve of. I'm a single mother. I homeschool my child. Why do I have to pay taxes to support the school system? Why I don't have a car, obviously, since I'm here in support of ORT. Why do I have to pay taxes to support the new roads or any roads? I don't benefit from that. Jobs. You take ORT away, the unemployment rate goes up. You keep ORT, unemployment rate goes down. For the elections and everybody going out there to vote, not everybody is able to vote. I live in South Fayetteville. There's several homeless shelters over there. There probably are a lot of people who, for legal reasons, are not able to vote. But yet, these are the same people who need ORT. I think y'all have the power to be able to vote and don't even bother putting it on the election. Go on ahead and approve the tax or the funding for it now. And I'm not from Arkansas, but isn't Arkansas known as the natural state? Why are we not supporting more friendly transportation? All the pollution and everything that's going on, why are we not supporting public transportation more? Have y'all not noticed the weather yet? We have not really had a winter. Pollution. More cars, more pollution. And I've already discussed the voting and everything, and that ties into discrimination against the people who can't vote or who need the public transportation system. I literally have no family and friends here. I can't just pick up a phone and call somebody and say, hey, can I get a ride someplace? If y'all cut off ORT for me, I'm literally stranded. I'm disabled. I can't do it. I've read stuff in the paper about how y'all are trying to do a rail system for the future. You're going to need buses to be able to support that rail system, to get people to the rail system to be able to use it. Yes, a lot of people may have cars to be able to do it and use that rail system to get to work. But what about the people who don't have cars? How are they going to get to the rail system? Razorback Transit does not provide service for everyone. It's limited service. Some lady had said something about how y'all have a bus line from Fort Smith to Fayetteville and Fayetteville to Fort Smith, and about duplicating it. I don't know what the bus service is because I have a Social Security hearing next month in Fort Smith and trying to figure out, racking my brain, stressed out, how in the world I'm going to get there. And back to the taxes. Everybody pays taxes they don't like. It's a democracy. It's majority rules. Plain and simple, majority rules. So, like I said before, y'all have the power to go on ahead and override this and to just say, no, we're going to go on ahead and approve the funding for this.
We don't have that power. Do not have that power.
You don't?
No, we don't. We do not have that power.
We don't have that power.
We can only put it on the ballot. We do not have the power to pass the tax. We do not have that. All we can do is put it on the ballot.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you.
My name is Mary Lowe, and I'm from West Fork, and I really hadn't planned to talk tonight, but I'm a daily bus rider, and on the way home on the bus today, I ride the bus for several reasons. One, like one of my former colleagues, I've sort of gotten to what I call the zen of bus riding. It's relaxing. I grade papers, I read, I talk to students. I've shared very many interesting stories with students. It's critical for the students at NWAC to be able to have this service. On the way home, there were 70 students, and this was one of the smaller buses. We had standing room only, and some of those students could not be at our college without this service. Also, when you think about it, that's 70 cars that are off the road, possibly. All of us know dramatically over the last 20 years, 540 has become a death trap. Every year, there are more and more fatalities on that highway. And for me, riding a bus accomplishes two goals. One, I feel like even though I have a car, my carbon footprint is a little healthier for the planet, just like I like to recycle, but also the fact that I'm not adding to the congestion on that highway. And, to me, it's simple. For those who will never ride the bus, I think they would possibly gladly pay 25 cents of every $100 not to have the rest of us on the highway. And for those of us who want it, let us ride. Thank you.
I've had someone to request that we have a 5-minute recess. Do I get a motion for that?
So moved.
I have a second. All in favor of the court for a recess? Aye. We're recessed for 5 minutes.
say you like to use the union to sponsor the opportunity to court reading.
Calling this meeting back to order.
Yep, we're trying to get back.
I say five.
Trying to get back.
What's that?
Track somebody down and it's hard to find.
You can go get some more water.
Boxer his day.
Ladies and gentlemen, we want to get back and get this started. It's going to be a long night. Who is my next person that would like to speak? Yes, ma'am.
My name is Cindy Watkins, and I live in Fayetteville. And the bus is the only way I have to get around. And it's very important to a lot of people. And I think it should be put on the ballot for the people to choose whether they want it or not.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Appreciate it. Next.
Hi, I'm Cornelia Hager. I ride the Ozark Regional Bus multiple times every week, have for years. And what I've heard tonight is a definite voice saying, don't take money out of my pocket for other people's benefit. My point is, we are a society. I pay for things that I do not use. I don't commit crime, but I pay for a police department. I don't set fires, I pay for the fire department. Yes, I use water and I pay for it. We, all of us, contribute toward things that we do not use. But we do it in order to be a society, to have a good standard of living, and to allow everyone to fulfill their potential. And also, I think we need a regional bus system for the same reasons that we needed a regional airport, XNA. When everyone said, our town has an airport, we don't need a large airport. But we need a large bus system for those same reasons, to attract business, to be competitive with other cities, to enhance our standard of living, and for all the reasons that people here have said tonight, to go to school, to go to work, to go to doctors. All of those things are important, and it's also governmental business. And this bus system, it's part of government. It's not a private business. So I do hope that when this comes up for a third vote, a third reading, I should say, that it is allowed to go to the ballot and that we are allowed to vote. Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Beth Barham, and I live on Woolsey Avenue in Fayetteville. I think that there's a voice that you're not hearing tonight very much. It was mentioned a little bit, but I just wanted to say something about the children in this county, but in Northwest Arkansas. And as you may have read or been hearing about recently in the press, as many as a quarter, 25%, 1 in 4 of our own children here are growing up food insecure. They don't have good access, good regular access to food. This has been touched on by some people who have spoken. Now, regardless of what you may think about the parents and they should be able to do for their children and so forth, I'm a rural sociologist. I've done a lot of research in this area of food and food access. A lot of the reason that children can find themselves food insecure is that the parents lack reliable transportation to go where they can afford healthy, nutritious food for their children. They may live in an area that is disadvantaged, and oftentimes larger grocery stores that are affordable will not locate in those neighborhoods. The parents have access to convenience stores. As you know, the food available there is usually very unhealthy, along with tobacco and alcohol. Kids who don't have a healthy, nutritious upbringing are at a disadvantage in school. They underperform. They grow up with much higher likelihood of having long-term chronic diseases and problems like obesity, diabetes, and so forth, heart disease. So I'm just trying to stress that the decision, I think it should go to the ballot, and I think people should think about this as a long-term issue. The children that we're talking about here are the future population of the county. These are all of the future people that are going to be here. 1/4 of them. I mean, it's horrific to think about in this otherwise fairly wealthy part of Arkansas. 1/4 of them have problems with reliable, healthy food access. And this transportation issue is a big piece of that. So I just wanted to make that real clear.
Thank you very much. Lila?
Good evening, you all. Thank you for taking the time to hear us tonight. As a mayor and as a citizen, I support ORT. I think this is very important. First of all, it provides alternative transportation, which is very, very important in this day and age when we see fuel costs go up and up and up. It cuts back and reduces the amount of cars that we put on the road, which cuts back on harmful green emissions, also cuts back on fossil fuels. But most importantly, ORT provides transportation for citizens going to work, provides transportation for our seniors, for people with disabilities, low and fixed income citizens, and our students. And you know what ORT really does at the end of the day? It gives some people some hope when a lot of folks don't think they've got a prayer. And you know what? I think that's worth a vote of the people. Please put it on the ballot. Thank you.
I've got someone recognized already. No, sir. Judge Hutton.
Thank you, Judge. Jerry Hutton, Prairie Grove, retired county judge, current beat up by a black cow farmer. But anyway, four broken ribs later. The reason I wanted to speak tonight was because I was chairman of Ozark Regional Transit for more years than I'd like to think. And George sat there beside me and helped guide us through an awful lot of issues. When city and county governments took over ORT, it was before that with Community Resource Group. It was basically a federal program to deal with people who had disabilities, people who really needed help. It was a small system, but it was also running close to in the red at all times. Never had very much money. Things changed, federal guidelines changed, direction changed, and we became more of a public transportation system. I've been quoted many times saying that if people would just park their little red pickup truck and ride a transit system, we could fill the buses up, and we could get people to work, and we could save on gasoline, we could put money in those people's pockets. A lot of very good things could happen. If we could run buses out to the Lincoln, Prairie Grove area, the West Fork, Elkins, you know, and people could actually ride these buses. But you know what? The reason it doesn't work is this system is basically a very good example of being set up for failure. Why is it set up for failure? Because you take a public transit system that's underfunded to the degree that this is underfunded, and you have only a shadow of a system. You know, Little Rock has a good system. Fort Smith has a taxpayer-supported good system. Tulsa, Dallas, San Antonio, on and on and on. San Jose, California, New York City, Chicago, you just go on. Yes, a lot of them are very large cities. Some of them are not so large. If you compare the big four, Fayetteville, Springdale, Rogers, and Bentonville, and take all their population together, which is what regional transit is all about. don't know whether you all know this or not, but we used to be 4 counties. We used to be Carroll County, Madison County, Washington County, and Benton County, and those 4 cities. When we were with CRG, we all kind of got at each other's throats over this thing. I mean, we literally had contentious board meetings where everybody was saying very bad things to each other. And we finally came together. Carroll County took off and went with the group over at Harrison. But our 3 counties and the 4 cities originally went with First Transit and Phil Pumphrey, not only an initial contract, but in a contract that followed up to show support for them. And we moved forward. And we took a really sorry system, and we at least made it into a system that started looking more like public transportation. But you will never, ever see those $24 rides go down until you get the numbers up. And the only way you're ever going to get the numbers up is if you get the numbers of buses and the routes out there that needs to be, so that the average person on the street will say, hey, you know, that's a viable option to me to take public transportation. You get those numbers up and you'll see those dollars go down. Now, will it ever be a money maker? No. There's not a transit system in America that I know of that's a money maker. It's all in the red. But if you stop and think about it, there's an awful lot of things out there that we do in government that's in the red. And one other thing, and I'll shut up and go back to my seat. We passed, during a special election, something very important to this county, a $22.5 million jail. And we did it in a special election, and folks, we only had like 6,000 voters. So when you stop and think about special elections, it works for you and it may work against you depending on your position. It's a double-edged sword. But I also agree that during that jail vote, there could have been 50,000 people showed up, because I guarantee you they knew about it. Most of them sat home and said, you know, I just can't vote for a tax, but we sure need a jail. And that's what they did. And one last thing on that, if you look at how much it costs to keep a prisoner in the state of Arkansas now, it's running probably about, what, $25 a day, maybe $35 a day. I'm not sure what the numbers are anymore. So you start talking about a $24 trip, we're already supporting people with $35 a day in our penal systems. And those folks, for the most part, aren't going anywhere but back on the streets someday to redo what they got in there for in the first place. But the transit system is a policy. The transit system, for this area to grow, we've got to have a transit system someday. Maybe this isn't the time. I don't know. But until we get one, these 4 cities and these 2 counties up here are going to stagnate when they get to a certain point until we finally have a transit system. So that's just something you all need to think about. I don't know whether this vote will pass or not. That's really not what I'm speaking to. I just want to give you a little history on where we were and where we got to. But let's have a system that's not set up for failure. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Come forward.
Howdy, everyone. My name's Jeff Oland. I'm from Farmington. The fellow that just spoke talked about that this was started out as for the disabled. And the people that oppose bringing this up to a tax, I haven't heard anyone say that they're opposed to transportation for the disabled, the seriously needy, and that sort of thing. That aside, now ORT has morphed into a broad transportation plan that I think is unclear. I recently heard, I forgot to ask Phil Pumphrey. I just spoke with him. In fact, I met with him for an hour and a half last week, and we discussed some of these matters. But what I'm understanding about this plan is it's so poorly thought out that I believe you people ought to go back, make it more clear what this plan exactly is going to entail, and then teach the people, not after it's voted upon, like one of the fellows mentioned about learning about this, get educated on this. We need to get educated on this before the people vote on it, so that the people that are voting on it know what they're voting for. There's a lot of talk about democracy, but this, we really live in a republic, not a democracy. And I think the Quorum Court's duty is to be very well educated as to what the expansion of the ORT is, and then teach the people. And there's a lot of times when you guys will use your judgment because you have your hands on exactly what this is about. There's a couple of people that talked about, a couple of professionals that took this bus. I have a problem with subsidizing people that can afford to take the bus. Now, I can understand if they want to reduce emissions, and I'm all for that. I am not pro-emissions just because I oppose buses. I drive a very small, as small a possible car as I can as a contractor and overload it and that sort of thing. I believe in being conservative, saving on gas, saving on whatever, resources. And so, I lost my train of thought here. Oh, yeah, the professionals that are taking the bus, that's right. That's fine that they take the bus and they like the services and that sort of thing, but I don't think that I ought to support being a contractor who cannot take the bus and pile my tools or my lumber or that sort of thing into my vehicle. If I have to park my economy car to haul tools, then I'll take the truck that I leave sitting there and I'll put some lumber in it and go do a job, right? If I had a job. I'm retelling old work stories. That's how long I've been out of work. But anyways, these pros that manage to be able to carry a briefcase to work, that's fine and well, but why should I subsidize their transportation? They're taking money out of my pocket, really, literally taking money out of my pocket to make their life cheaper by doing this. There's a gal that's one of the bus drivers that came up here. I don't have a lot of history of this, but I do have proof and a camera that this bus driver is being disingenuous, this Kathy that came up here and said her buses are always full. Well, I have a record on film that shows her bus is empty except for one individual that got on. Okay? Now, there's been an exploded, exaggerated, positive thing about this, and that there isn't a good enough ridership. It's just been really, really ridiculous.
Sir, your time is up. I'm sorry. Thank you very much.
Okay, I'll finish with one thing then. What belongs to no one is wasted by everyone.
Thank you very much, sir. I'm going to recognize this one more person. Come on forth, sir. He's had his hand up for a long time.
Hello, I'm Aubrey Shepard. I grew up was born in 1940, and so we rode the bus to get everywhere. You had to walk about. When I was a real small child, the bus went right by the house, and we moved a little further away when my parents were able to buy a house, same neighborhood. Had to walk back up to that same street to get on the bus. But anyway, my parents didn't buy a car until 1948 when I was 8 years old because there was a public transit system, and you didn't have to make an enormous amount of money to ride the transit system. And coming out of World War II, and for them, from the growing up in the Depression, they didn't want to, to go to grandma's house in the country. Somebody had to give you a ride there for those several years. So it was, it's quite a different world. So to me, it's very natural to ride a bus. It's a good thing. When I finished high school and went to college, or went to service and came back and went to college, I hitchhiked or rode a bus 60 miles to college. And the bus was what you took home on Sunday. Took back to school on Sunday night. Hitchhiking is what you did on Saturday afternoon to get home, and because you didn't have to meet a deadline to get there and so forth. But anyway, without a good transit service, all these things people have said about the need for it are certainly true. And I don't know how we change the mindset of people who just refuse to use it or consider it. Because some of the things about the camaraderie on the bus I thought were interesting. We see stories about bad rides on the trains and underground in New York City and places sometimes, but it's not that way in a decent community. You have nice people, and you speak with one another, and you get up, give your seat to a lady when it's crowded, or to an old man. But speaking about being an old man, here would be a personal reason for me to say that I want this bus system expanded and available in broader areas for everybody who needs it. And I hope more people will start using it and find out that it's a comfortable thing to do. I have a driver's license that says that I've got 3.5 more years. My 75th birthday, I have to take the test again. And I don't know if then I get 4 more years. Is that the way it's set up? I thought it used to be a deadline where you had to take it more often, but that's a long time. My health may not be good enough to drive in 4 years, and I would like to have an alternative, even if I'm just going somewhere close in the city. So thank you very much, and please allow us to have this vote as soon as possible.
Thank you
Appreciate
very much, sir. I've got a lady back here that's been very patient.
Good evening. I'm Grace Donahoe, and I live in Springdale. And I wanted to share a couple of things. I serve on the Advocates for Public Transportation Advisory Board. We have done extensive, and I mean extensive studies, independent studies as well as in-house studies about the need for public transportation. And I believe that a lot of people that have spoke against allowing people to vote are not aware of the extensive studying that ORT has done. Also, I want to address the gentleman that said professional people riding the bus. I have a doctorate, and I rode the bus, and I paid to ride the bus. I did not get on free of charge and expect a handout. And I would venture to say most of the, or all of the professional people that were here paid. They were not expecting a free load. There are many people in our community that need this service. Seniors, I used it because I had knee surgery and could not drive a vehicle. And so for about 6 weeks, I had door-to-door service with the paratransit with incredible drivers that cared about me, helped me get on and off in using my walker. And I had not anticipated ever using ORT. But it provided a service for me, door-to-door service, that I could not have done without had it not been for them. The drivers are courteous, respectful, and Phil and his administrators have done an incredible job managing the budget and the resources that they have. And I feel that we need to allow voters in Washington County to make the decision. You've spent a lot of time discussing this, and I've come to most of the meetings, and I think that, you know, as I told my children when they were young, let's roll with it. Enough's enough, and let's get on with it and let the voters decide and quit horsing around and let's get to the meat of it. There are people that are scared to death that this service is not going to be available, and we owe it. I guess what concerns me is what about caring, compassionate people? You know, I grew up in a society, when I was younger, we cared about people, and some of the people that I've heard tonight are so centered on themselves that they don't care. There are people that cannot walk to work. There are people that cannot, you know, walk from here to NWAC or to the doctor's office. Let's just get real and quit being so self-centered, and let's be a compassionate community that cares about its residents. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we have had a lot of very, very good conversation here tonight. I really feel like it's time to try to end public comments. I just want to know if any of the court has any objection to doing this. Do I need a motion to do this, George?
All I'm going to ask if there's any objection.
But they have no any objection.
We've got another reading next month, so there's plenty of time for people to speak again.
Yeah, Eva?
Could we just see a show of hands? There's a lot of people that I think probably don't want to speak but have an opinion. And I'd just be curious of who's left, if they could raise hands for supporting the vote or not supporting the vote, just to get a feel for who's left.
Sure.
So could we have a show of hands of those of you that support the election? Okay, and those of you who are opposed to the election. Thank you.
Appreciate that.
Good move.
I wasn't in line because I can't stand for long.
That's okay. Okay, if I can ask you to keep it very short. And I'm going to let you come forward, and this will be the last.
Yeah, try to do it in bullet points. But it irks me every time somebody tells a half-truth. Would you like $500,000? That's how much the city of Fayetteville gave to Walton Arts. Every time I go to Walton Arts, I pay $70 for a ticket. Yet they put in parking meters. Why? We need some money to build a deck. Yeah.
This is not on the subject that we're
Oh, yes, it is. It's everybody wants to tax. I will, and I will do this. I will make this offer too. Okay, the Tea Party's calling me a lot. I've kind of retired from it. Okay, because I don't like the minute garbage. I told you I'm a social moderate, but I'm also a patriot. Gave up my body as well as these other guys. If you put it in November, so it is the democratic process that we're used to, everybody knows these off-time elections are set up by politicians over the years to get the special interests to come. You want to debate that? We can debate that. But if you'll do it then, and two, keep the system for the people who need it. I'll bet you the gal who spoke before me didn't pay $20 to ride the bus. Okay? If you do it for the handicapped, if you do it for the truly needy, the people that we were, that Christ said we're supposed to help them, that's fine with me. I will vote and I will go and lobby with my Tea Party friends. If you put it in those conditions, I'll lobby for it. Otherwise, I'm going to be sitting in my chair on the side of the street fighting it. And I would rather do what's good for the people who need it. The people who are ambulatory, those people don't need charity. Charity keeps people down sometimes. When it's not needed, this is a form of keeping people down.
Thank you, sir. I've asked to be short because we do need to continue with our meeting.
All right, so now the issue is back before the court. We're on second reading. We can have further discussion, or it moves on to third reading.
Moves on to third reading.
If there's no further discussion, no motion, this will go on to third reading automatically next month.
This will go on to the third reading. Thank you.
Okay, next we have item number 10. And
I'm lost here.
Yeah.
I can't find get my papers.
George, a question, point of order or something.
Speaking of microphone.
Okay, we've already moved, there was already a motion to move it up to third and final reading tonight, and it failed.
Right.
After all of the popular discussion, can I make that motion again, or have the fact that we've had it once already doomed it for tonight?
I think you've already made the motion and it's failed for this meeting.
Okay.
And so it be made again.
Next thing we have item 10, Candy.
Judge, I'd like to table this item. It's already almost 8:30.
Second.
And I feel like so I'd like to table it till next month,
I have a
please.
motion to table and I have a second. Is there any discussion to that effect?
Yes. If there is anybody from the public that has come to speak to this, would you entertain?
Well, they can still speak
public
at
comment?
the end of the meeting.
They can still,
Fine.
yeah, at the
That'll be
end of the
fine.
meeting. Yes, sir. Okay. So do we just have
Well, now we've got this resolution here.
we don't need to do anything else?
No.
Okay. Butch, your resolution.
Okay, George, did you read 11.1?
Okay. So this is a resolution authorizing the clerk of the District Court of Elkins to destroy certain records pursuant to Act 627, 2007, ACA 16-10-211, and authorizing the county judge to sign any necessary documentation to accomplish such. Whereas Act 627, 2007, ACA 16-10-211 requires that the Quorum Court authorize the destruction of certain records within the time allotted by law of the district courts. Whereas the clerk of the Elkins District Court has asked for the authority to destroy certain records, a list of which is attached here too. Now therefore be it resolved by the Quorum Court of Washington County, Arkansas. Article 1, the clerk of the Elkins District Court is hereby authorized to destroy the records as set out in the list attached here too. Article 2, the county judge is authorized to sign any and all necessary documentation to accomplish such.
Move to pass 11.1.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Public comments on this?
Okay, we want to do it, okay, that's right, it's just a resolution.
It's just a resolution.
Okay.
With no further comments, Karen, would you call the roll? I did.
She did.
Yeah.
Yes.
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 Yes, ma'am.
This resolution is adopted. Thank you, Butch. Do we have any other business to bring before this court? I do have a space here for citizens' comments. Yes, sir. Come on. Yeah. Okay.
You can talk about anything you want.
Okay. Is there any rule on this tonight?
3 minutes.
3 minutes.
Yeah, my name's Justin Reed. I live just outside Fayetteville. And since everybody else is given their vet status, I'm a Navy officer. Now, my son and I moved here about a year ago, just because the Ozarks seemed to be a place that wasn't a nanny state. It pretty lets people have common sense and not have all the restrictive laws. And I fought for the concept of freedom. And my son's also the youngest U of A student here full-time at the University of Arkansas, 14 years old, and he's already got 2 semesters of 4.0.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And he's going on to be a veterinarian, and so he opposes this one too. You know, we have a 3-year-old golden retriever. She has a collar and tags on. All the identification on it. She's in a fenced yard, unlike my neighbors whose cats come over and use our garden as a litter box. And I think that's more of an issue of roaming cats in other people's yards, destroying their quality of life, than chipping. But I'm opposed to chipping for several reasons. One, the chip can move. It can go in deep, it can come out. So chips that go into animals, when they scan them, may not be there. Second, I oppose it on religious grounds. The mark of the beast, this is Agenda 21, like the lady had said about the other issue. There's chipping in northern Michigan and Wisconsin. There's some Amish taking it to court. Every chicken's chipped, every milk cow's chipped, and it's a matter of cost, and also this religious reason of not wanting chips in animals or men. And there are schools in Oregon that they have chips in their arm for the school lunch for middle school kids. So I think this bandwagon of chipping everything that moves has got to be stopped. I'm not sure what Justice of the Peace Cochran's alternative proposal is. I'd like to, I'm going to find out what that is in the meantime. But, we've seen this move across country. It's not a good thing. Medically, I don't want to put anything in me or my animals. And I think it's just going to keep on going if it does. So I'm just asking you, please don't make me a criminal, because I'm not going to chip my dog. It's got the identification, always has. I'm a responsible person. And if she did get out, she's got her tags for identification. I just don't want it to be forced to chip and pay the $100 fine, which, that's going to be an issue. But, I take care of my dog. And, she's also never barked in 3 years, even though we've tried to get her to bark. She won't. She's service trained. Yeah. So she doesn't even bother the neighbors with a bark. We tried to get her to, but she won't. But please don't make us chip our dogs. It's just optional, great, but not mandatory, please. This I think it's gone too far. Leash laws, identification. Cats would be great to have owners responsible keep them in their yards to not destroy our quality of life that have dogs, but that's a separate issue. So I thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, sir. Yes, sir.
My name is Terry Babaji. I live on the west side of, Weddington Woods. And I'm against the chipping, period, for moral reasons. And, you know, it's something that can't be enforced very easily. And the county's not going to, the people can't afford it to put it in there. What this is going to do is this is going to force people to start dumping dogs out here. And that's just going to put more pressure on other people who live in the county. We have enough dogs that are loose out here. They need to be a leash law applied, not a chip law, because the way they got the law written, from what I understand, anybody can put the chip in. It don't have to go to a vet to be put in. That, to me, is crazy. And, you know, for moral and biblical reasons, I'm totally against it, too. You know, out where I live at, I can't ride my motorcycle up the road without dogs coming out, or my bicycle and I have to kick them or whatever. You know, it's crazy. You know, that you need to do something, put a leash on them, not a chip, because people's not going to build it, people can't afford it. You know, they don't even give their animals shots because the people don't come out, the vets don't come out there anymore. So please, just abolish this, put a leash law in the county, and let people have their animals. And if they want to put the chip in it, so be it.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? No other business? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed, same sign. And I'd like to thank all of you for being so patient today. Okay, you've done great.